one in the chat if you can hear me. All right. Thank you for the confirmation, man. Welcome back to the Black Brain Trust. This is just an addendum on the versioning of Black male social spaces. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play back what I just heard from Three Letter Guy in the mouth of the South. Okay. Because really, the reason why we're having this conversation now is because there's been a lot of misinformation about the history of Black male spaces in YouTube, okay? And so I want to make sure that we're on record for what's about to be said. So let me play back. Let me share my screen. Actually, let me put the link. If anybody knows where Keeping It 100 is, if anybody knows where Keeping It 100 is, send him over here. I would like to have a conversation with him as well. Okay. Tell him to pull up. Let me drop the link in there. We can get started. This shouldn't take long. The Celtics are playing tonight, and I don't got time to be going 3 hours. This is only going to be an hour at best. Okay. All right, let me share my screen. All right. Let me know if you can see the screen in the chat.
I see it. They'll see it in about 15 seconds.
All right, let me play this clip.
You guys can say anything you want. You guys can be anything you want. When I first got here, there was basically nothing here. There was very little here. It was very tiny. In fact, it was so tiny that I didn't know I bumped into it until somebody told me about it. And what I'm not going to do, and this is DeMarcus, no disrespect to Marcus, right? You can say anything you want, but you are not going to tell me about some space that I helped build. Now, normally I don't say anything about me helping build this space, okay? Because I was recruited into the space by Obsidian and Valdez, okay? And also O'Shea. They recruited me into this space. They named this space. The space was not called the Black Manosphere before they got here. And we retroactively fit Manosphere on what we call 1.0.
Oh, so this is where we come in, right? So I enumerated this 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 thing. Barely because what was said was that there was nothing here, like he just said. There was nothing here, nobody existed, okay? This is a colonial mindset, right? Europeans came to America and there was nothing here and it was just free. And then, we created Western society. No, that's not true. Okay. Before these three people got here, there was other people here before you. Okay. SWP is not a 2.0 guy. Okay. He's a 1.0 guy, but he also fell into the space that was here before him too. Okay. There were other people here before you. That's all 1.0 is saying, which is why I enumerated. Somebody was here before you. You need to know that. Let me finish playing.
Or
this.
Gen X, so whatever you guys decide to deem it. And since I got here, everybody brings it up. Hey, where's your recordings? Where's your...
Nobody has to prove these things to you, okay? Here's what happened. Dredson, who was from 1.0, saw what was happening to a lot of the channels that were being attacked. And what was happening was content was being lost, because back then, when you flag somebody's channel down, a video down, the whole channel came down. And so what guys started doing was taking their content with them to Generation X. Generation X was acquired by Dredson. Dredson acquired a server that was what we call bare bones. Okay, it was a Linux server. It was Linux, Apache, MySQL, and Perl. It was not patched and it was very rough. Okay, they sold it to him rough. No one knew how to actually configure the server, and so Dredson was the only one who was a server engineer that really understood it, but even he had a tough time really configuring the server. Eventually, what was happening was it was going through a lot of DOS attacks. We knew where the DOS attacks were coming from, okay? It was coming from these white manosphere guys. They were launching attacks against the server, and the server would go down 2 or 3 times a day. Generation X was almost a one-for-one social media platform to YouTube. It had all of the features, and Dredson was adding small features here and there, but every time he would add a feature, the next day the server would go down. Not because of incompetence in code for him, but because it was being attacked, okay? And eventually, everybody started bringing their content over there. That's why you don't see a lot of the content in YouTube anymore. That's why it doesn't exist to you. But the content that was on YouTube was transferred over to Generation X. So Generation X was a Black male space. It was an extension of what was on YouTube. Blog Talk Radio was where everybody went for quote unquote panel discussions, okay? Let me move on.
What did you say? It all got destroyed. Well, where are the people at? Well, YouTube all kind of ran them off. The women flagged them, and
some people left because they had careers that were much bigger than what was necessary for the space, okay? Some people had different ambitions. Some people had different agendas that they wanted to fulfill. And so they wanted to make sure they sanitized any sort of digital trails that they had back to YouTube and other social media platforms at the time. It wasn't just YouTube that they got, they distanced themselves from. It was Facebook and a lot of other places that they distanced themselves from. We know people personally offline, so I know the history to that extent.
They bounced in and never came back. Well, how come they never came back? Are they still alive? How come they don't come back and reprise their information?
Because they don't live their life on YouTube. That's what you're not understanding. YouTube is not their it's not their end all be all. It doesn't make or break them. Okay, they did content and they moved on. There was no super chats, there was no Cash Apps, there was no Venmo, there was no Zelle, it was none of that. When you did content, you did it and you had to stand on it. Right. Unlike here, where you can say something like, yeah, hold on, so let me add this person. All right. And so that's what happened.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
she's actually dismissing the people while dismissing the history. So it was like, oh, well, whatever Generation X was. No, it was an actual thing. And you would actually know that if you wasn't trying to dismiss it and just trying to say it in an offhand manner. Like, no, these things were actual things,
Right.
actual things that I seen where that was going. I picked up the message of 1.0 and I just kept going. You know, I didn't even try to even track down any of the people outside of Wacky World or O or Q Soul and Black or any of that because the message is simple. Once you left women out of it, once you left trolling women out of it, but you can't be all 1,700 of these things and then trying to dismiss the actual individuals before you was actually there. I mean, it's so disingenuous, and it's like,
let me finish playing this.
Well, now I know what it is, okay? And I don't blame them for not coming back. I exactly know what it is because I'm a content creator, okay? If you get run off like that, especially if you're those guys were young, probably in their 20s and 30s, they got jobs, they got families, and they got attacked. They're not coming back to get doxxed or get attacked because they do have sensitive jobs. And a lot of these guys that were in 1.0, they probably listen from the clouds because they got things to risk. Okay, there's things at risk. I understand that. I'm in a position where
doesn't Sergeant Willie Pete still do content?
Okay? They can't call my employer. Can't do that.
Yeah, we have acknowledged that
for
already.
them to call my employer. So I say things that are unpopular. The only reason that I have an avatar and stuff like that is because I still work in the pro-Black sector. And I know the pro-Black sector is a matriarchy. I was just at an event a couple of weeks ago where I was in there with a lot of bougie, higher class, pro-Black people that make a whole lot of money. Mostly female, but been around for a long time, make a whole lot of money, been well connected with a lot of people, well known with a lot of people, okay? People have published, people are well connected with other folks, well connected folks, make a whole lot of money, mostly women. So when I say that the black nationalists, pro-Black sector, if we want to call this, is a matriarchy, I know it because I'm in that motherfucker, okay? I do not talk about shit I don't know about. Most of the stuff in here I do not talk about shit that I don't know about. When I came to this sector, guess what? Okay, they were still talking. That's like Tommy Sotomayor, just like Sergeant Willie P, just like Soul and Black. There's a few others that were still here.
For the record, Tommy Sotomayor was not Manosphere 1.0. Okay, he was Black YouTube.
Oh my God.
This part has to be understood. He was never a part of the collective consciousness of Black men in the space. He was never a part of that. Okay, he antagonized the space because that's how he made his content. He was an antagonist, right? And in his antagonism of the space, that's what blew him up. Because you had a lot of swirlers, Kristen Kyerson being one of them, and then you had a lot of what do you call it? Other Black female YouTube content creators and other. It wasn't just females; it was also Black men who did not like, what was being done on this side of the fence. Okay, they didn't like some of the content that was being produced within the space. Okay. So you had disagreements in the space about what kind of content should be produced and what kind of topics should be focused on and so on and so forth, okay? Especially some of your Muslim brothers, they did not actually rock with a lot of things that was being said. And so that being said, that's pretty much where Tommy Sotomayor falls in that lens, okay? Tommy Sotomayor was not Manosphere 1.0. No one ever claims Tommy Sotomayor as 1.0. What 2.0 tries to do is it tries to, create this gumbo soup of content creators and other personalities within the space and conflate them all. That's where you're wrong. Let me continue.
And Black men, when they came back, they still talk the same shit. They didn't talk this egalitarian, elevated stuff. They didn't. None of the stuff that I talk about, they talked about. You know why? Because nobody, just damn near nobody black on YouTube talks about the stuff that I talk about. And especially, nobody talks about it in the way I talk about it, including women, because guess what? They're not Gnostics. They're not Gnostics. Even when I have a women's panel, okay, when I have a women's channel, okay, my channel is not to go at women. I have expressly told that to not only to the women but also to the men. I said I'm here when I go to my women's channel. I'm there to help them, regardless of who they date, how they act, whatever it is. My channel, my women's channel is there so they can understand themselves. If you don't believe me, keep it 100. Go ask Sister George and Concrete Rose. When I'm on that channel, okay, I'm here to help them. And that was a dare by Crystal Karazin, who I don't know, but I have was engaged to a woman just like her. Okay, she sounds almost exactly like the chick. In fact, she grew up like almost down the street from my fiance. My fiance is Yoder. Sounds just like her ass. My fiance is a lot better looking, but sounds just like her ass. That's why I know her so well. But it was a dare that she said that I could not teach women and hold them accountable. And I actually did both. Now, I could do it. I could actually teach black women and hold them accountable, but guess what? Because I've been mentored by a black woman that does exactly that. And she's been doing it for 40 years. So I know all the tricks that she knows. I could do it. I could take off my hat, bring in my stuff, and start teaching black women if I really want to. Because guess what? Most of that stuff that Kevin was doing, that's what it was based on my BGS for women.
Wait.
Can you speak to them? Can you teach them and hold them accountable? I can. Well, guess what? None of that shit was here when I got here. Because y'all motherfuckers didn't know how to do it. Y'all didn't know how to do that shit. So I'm tired of this 1.0 versus 2.0. Let's get this. Let's go ahead and get it out of the get this stuff out of the air, right? Let's just go ahead and put the cards on the table. This is black pill shit today, okay? This is black pill shit today.
Okay.
Y'all was around, 1.0 was down around 3 years. I give it credit because it was bold enough to start. Okay, just like Apollo, was it Apollo 13, the one that blew up, or with Apollo 11, the one that went up and blew up? Okay, that's the one that blew up. It failed. Okay, but the thing is,
I think
after
you're talking about
that,
the Challenger,
it became easier because they learned from the mistakes. Okay, 1.0, they got run off the block. They got run off the block. Now, if you dispute that, I'll drop the link in about 10 minutes and we can talk about it. Y'all motherfuckers got run off the block.
I think I've already explained what happened. The way YouTube's flagging system worked was that if a video got flagged, the channel got flagged. If a channel went down, the content went down. Okay. That's why people started moving their content over to Generation X. Okay. Make that clear again. People started moving their content over.
I want to hear it. I always ask, what happened to 1.0? How come they're not around? Well, YouTube was doxing them and the women was this, that, and that, and they left, right? So they started Gen X. Okay, what happened to Gen X? Well, whatever happened, they got hacked or something. Nobody saved shit, but they got hacked. All that stuff disappeared.
So
is he
a few things happened with the Generation X server.
Well, Mike, so is he negating?
Let me finish explaining this complex.
Okay, all right, because this is bullshit.
When Dredson bought the server, it was a bare bones server. It was a LAMP server, Linux, Apache, MySQL, Perl, okay? In order for it to be a functional system, it had to have a lot more input, a lot more labor input into it, okay? And Dredson was one person. And so he couldn't do all this on his own. There was probably a couple of other people who knew like web development, but there was nobody who really understood all of the back end design on how to make the system work, like YouTube, which is what Dredson was trying to copy. Okay, he was trying to figure out how does YouTube work, and then he was trying to apply those same principles to that server, but you cannot do a one-for-one copy. So what was happening was every time he would do an update, the code would not function in the same capacity that it would on YouTube. So YouTube had its own sort of structure of how it worked. Okay, they use different sort of scalability systems in the back end that nobody really understands. Okay, Dredson had some fairly understanding of it, but he could not implement it on his own. You're talking about one person versus hundreds of engineers at Google and YouTube. And so there was no way that Dredson was going to be able to match YouTube feature for feature. Okay, but what he was capable of doing with Gen X was impeccable for the time. Okay, that's why everybody went over there, because they wanted to support, one, Black men, and two, they wanted to support a Black male space away from what was happening before. And so when you say guys got ran off the block, they didn't have any other choice. They're not going to sit down and fight with all of these sort of adversaries on a platform where every time they do an upload, they get flagged. That doesn't make any sense. Generation X made a lot of sense at the time being. Okay. So I want to make sure that it's correct, because he spreads this misinformation, but he doesn't actually understand all of the intricate details that went on back then. I was there, lock, stock, and barrel. I knew everybody who was there. I knew all the in and outs of it, what kind of SCSI drives they were using at the time. Okay. SCSI drives got wiped. That's what happened.
It happens. I have no problem with that. Okay. It was a valiant attempt, but do not compare 1.0 with 2.0. There is no comparison, period. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you put out there. There is no comparison between 1.0 and the space that I helped build. Zero. Okay. It's not even close. Okay.
Wow.
1.0 never even got off the ground.
Wow.
Actually, 1.0 was already off the ground. Okay. 1.0 was not just YouTube.
You know, and here is the thing, though. So, excuse me, Mike. I got to jump in on this. If that was the case, then BJS, then can you please explain to me Doug Tishon doing Father's Rights in London? See, some of us been here. I've been here in 2006. I remember some of this. So what is he talking about? Yeah. So what is he talk? What the fuck is he talking about? This lie, he made one lie after another lie after another lie. You don't know what he's talking about. He only been on YouTube ever since 2012, when he was hanging around with like the white dudes.
Yep. Let me finish playing this, Big J.
He don't know nothing about Doug Tishon. He know nothing about Sewing Black. He know nothing about the Pink Elephant. He know nothing about those dudes.
Well, Solon Black is a member of the Brain Trust, so there's that part. Go ahead, Mike.
Let me finish playing this, Big J, because I know you have a lot of knowledge about the history as well. So I want to make sure I get through all of this so that we're not actually getting tied down on one topic.
They made noise, but they never got off the ground. 2.0 went, actually went escape velocity. Okay, escape velocity. That's what I put up that video. Escape velocity. It's global. That's why it can't be stopped no matter what we do, okay? The stuff is already gone. It's already out there. We can't take it back if we wanted. If you destroyed the Black manosphere today, it would not make that big a difference, because what's out there is already gone. It's already out there. It's already escape velocity.
That's only because of the technology. You couldn't live stream back then on YouTube. There was no such thing as that. And videos were limited down to 10 minutes, okay? Technology allowed you to scale, not the content. The technology allowed you to scale. You came after the technology was implemented. We existed long before the technology was implemented. That's why we're saying what we're saying, and that's why Generation X existed. Okay, live streaming didn't exist. That was a new concept. Live streaming came in with 4G. 4G is you know the catalyst for live streaming. You couldn't live stream on 3G. It was impossible. The technology didn't exist.
Okay, Kevin saw to that. Can you guys hear me?
Trying to use Kevin.
No, I'm not an OG, man. I'm an OG in that comparison, but then, I give credit to the three guys that put the neck on the line. I give credit to Obsidian. I give credit to Valdez, the Angry Man. I give credit to O'Shea. Okay.
Wow.
They named
wow.
it. They put their stamp on it. Hey, I know all I do is put my shekels into the pot. Okay. And I don't mind. Okay. I had no, like I said, I'm like Spock. I ain't got no ego to bruise. Okay. This compared to what my crew did before I came here, the 14 years before this is small. Okay. So I took what we did for the continent of Africa. I'm not, if I did it, I would say who it is, and people on the continent know who my crew is. Okay, they do.
Just say it.
There's people in Ghana, and there's people in Ghana, other places that know who my crew is even today.
There we go.
Okay. If I said if I said who they were, people would know. I've said my partner's name, they would know who we were.
Sure.
People in Great Britain know who the fuck we are. Okay.
Sure.
Today.
Sure.
I said my partner's name, they would know who we are. We did this shit way before I got here. That's how come I knew when I got here, you could take a small entity on the internet with a voice, with the right information. You could take it from piddling or primary and unknown to something where it can make global impact. Okay, I know it because I've done it before. Regardless of what the fuck you say, 1.0 did not make global impact. It did.
That wasn't the purpose of 1.0. But that wasn't the purpose of 1.0, right? I think that first of all, you can't make an impact when your content is being flagged, okay? But what content creators back then were of different stripes. Sergeant Lee Pete came after the fact. Jenks Morton existed on YouTube in black male spaces long before Sergeant Lee Pete even got here, okay? Tim Alexander was here long before Sergeant Lee Pete got here. Sergeant Lee Pete's voice, his microphone was a megaphone back then, okay? He changed the dynamics of how people engage, okay? He was like Trump, there was some decorum on the panel and he just completely blew the decorum out of water, okay? Because that's just, he had a lot of talking points he wanted to get off, and that wasn't the way how everybody else was engaging each other. There was a level of decorum between content creators and how people engaged at the time, because you only had 10 minutes to say something, and people didn't just run on with their sentences like Sergeant Lee Pete did. I'm not taking anything from him. I'm saying the level of impact he had is long lasting today because of how he engaged the platform. He didn't like the way how, quote unquote, the pro-blacks were engaging women in engaging discourse. Okay. He didn't like the way how the black nationalists were engaging. Solely Black changed the dynamics by having all of these people on a Blog Talk panel at once. You couldn't do that on YouTube. You had to extend that out to Blog Talk Radio. That's why you can't just isolate Manosphere 1.0 to just YouTube. It was stretched out across different platforms. Am I right, Big J?
Yes, you are.
I know what's happening.
And let's also talk about Tim Alexander, because you mentioned his name. Didn't that movie Diary of a Retired Black Man, did that movie came out long before BGS was on YouTube?
It came out 2006. Okay.
Right.
And he raised, and it was crowdfunded. So the idea that, that type of stuff wasn't going on back then, that's you're wrong about that. You're wrong about that.
Just
Let me finish playing this, because there's other documentaries, Big J. There was other documentaries that were produced in the Manosphere at the time that even they took their content down. The guys from Philly who produced the documentary "Who's the Mac," very good documentary about the Black community in that capacity. Okay, let me finish playing this though.
That's the problem with 1.0. They think that did you do something special? Yeah, because you found a mic. Okay, you used an entity like YouTube to make to make a dent, to make a name, to open to provide an opening. Okay, where guys knew that you could come here, you could say something. You could come here and you could be yourself. You could be unapologetically Black male on this space, because you could never do that before. Every other space that I've ever been in, there was always opposition. I was always by myself because I'm not going to yield to it. I've been in the meetings. I've been in the pro-Black meetings where I had my coattail pulled because you can't offend the sisters. Okay, I know what that's like. That's why I came here. Got tired of hearing that shit. Can't offend the sisters. I want to come someplace where I can be myself, where I can speak my shit. Okay.
So
where I can
1.0 laid
speak
the foundation
my
for
truth
this.
is Dr. Yana Van Zandt. Shout out to her, because she's the one to help me come up with sign language. I've told that story.
Yeah, see, this isn't really important too, right?
Wait a minute. Yo. I know you didn't say that.
Let me say this. It's on record, man. Black male content creators back then did not have to rely on women's cosign for anything. Okay, we didn't have to do all that, and there was women in the space. Keep that in mind. Statuess One, Humble Queen, Black Indigo, Cerebral Madness. What's the other sister? The sister who did the apology video. Who got ripped apart by all the Black women.
Carla Kaboom was around here. I'm trying to remember some of the other women that was here at the time.
Sexy Sci-Fi. There's quite a few. Cherry Bomb, I think that's her name. Not Bomb Cherry, not to be confused with her. This is a different sister. Georgia Peach. That's what she was. Okay. There were quite a few women in the space, and they weren't the ones being disruptive. A lot of it was coming from the outside, not the inside. Okay, that needs to be made clear. But the idea that you had to rely on some women, to give you influence, no, that didn't happen in 1.0. That didn't happen. But let me finish playing what he has to say.
She's the one who helped me come up with sign language. She might not admit it, but she might, because she uses it all the time.
Yeah.
I was talking this stuff. I used to get rejects on Facebook from 1.0. Okay, they were trying to find themselves on whatchamacallit, on Blog Talk.
What?
I used to get rejects. The thing is, there is no comparison between 1.0 and 2.0. There isn't. I'm sorry. I'm not going to apologize for that. There isn't.
Well, I have some questions.
So on one hand, 1.0 didn't exist, but now that the history has been clarified, now their content was not on par with 2.0. Which one is it?
Mike,
Go ahead,
I don't
Big J.
know. You tell me.
I have a question. So first they didn't exist. Now he sent
Yeah.
Facebook requests to those people and they denied it. So you mean to tell me that you was lying about this the entire time because you couldn't be Facebook friends with 1.0? Like what? What is what he's doing?
MOT. Wait a minute. He also got 1.0's rejects per what he's saying. So what this tells me is that there were people around before he started doing something, because I guess I don't even know what the rejects of 1.0 even means.
No. So what he's doing is
Because there was nobody on fair.
What was that, Mike?
He's doing his version.
Go ahead, MOT.
What he's doing his version of the Big Bang Theory. There was nothing, and then there was BGS, and then everything existed after BGS. That's exactly what's happening. That's exactly what's happening.
Oh man.
Big J, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go to. I'm just laughing. It's so.
Oh, okay,
hilarious.
Oh, okay.
The vacuum that Kevin left alone, there is no comparison. There isn't. What we do in academia alone, there isn't a comparison. What we do in politics alone, and I talk to these guys all the time. People say, well, it's not effective because you don't talk to these people, the people that are in places to make decisions, okay? The people are in places to actually make decisions for the people, so that academics, professors can actually speak up and talk and center black men in their classes, because they couldn't do that shit before. They couldn't do that shit before.
According to whom?
The people above the academics?
Guy who voted for
black men,
okay,
they got run
the
off.
person who
white
voted for Kanye West is somehow voted is talking to all these other people about politics. Okay. All right.
Run off the block. The white boys didn't. The white boys, like the MGTOWs, they still over there.
It was the white boys who were helping them. Don't you see? What people don't realize back then was that the white guys, the swirlers, and the antagonists worked together synchronously to attack black male content creators in the space. Okay. Now, Sergeant Lee Pete was able to withstand the time. I think he had a couple of accounts, but when your channel went down, that was it. To build up another channel and build up another following was twice as difficult. And so a lot of those guys, again, took their content to Generation X. People did not live their life on YouTube. That was never the case. Okay. People did their content and they moved on. For you guys in 2.0, YouTube was everything to you because you had nothing before that.
Yeah. YouTube.
Okay?
That's what it was.
You had nothing before that. For 1.0, it was not the case. They had other things. So they didn't have to rely on YouTube and try to go back and forth with people. That was never the case. In fact, a lot of the discourse was between black men who are agreeing to disagree on certain topics. Okay, Junebug Obama vastly disagreed with, let's say, Kobe MBA West, who was a men's rights activist and a sociologist at the time. The only reason Kobe MBA West content isn't available now is because after Kobe Bryant died, he took his content down off of the channel in respect of Kobe Bryant. Okay, up until that point, his content was still there. He took all that content down. Okay, and he was from California. He's from LA. So to pretend like, oh, guys just ran off, no, that's not necessarily true. You're misconstruing all of the talking points in order to make an argument that no one's making.
They get canceled, they come right back. Their stuff is still up. They didn't get canceled. How come we did? 2.0, not 1.0 lasted 1, 2, maybe 3 years. Okay. This is
no. Again, this is
a lie.
You know, this is a lot of more misinformation. Okay. It wasn't 3 years. YouTube as a platform went live in 2006. Okay. Big J XXX channel was created in 2006. It's still there. Okay. Don Calypso's channel, I think, was created in 2006, 2007. It's still there. The only difference is people go through different transitions. Technologically speaking, when Google released the G phone with who was it? T-Mobile. That phone, when you created an account, also created a YouTube account. So a lot of the accounts that you see in Manosphere 1.0, say 2009, because that's where they created their accounts at, was on Android phones. Okay. And people who bought iPhones also did the same thing. You had to register your phone, your account on your phone. I'm giving the inside baseball as to what happened back then. So a lot of people who lost their phones or upgraded from their phones didn't keep their accounts either. Okay. They moved on and got other things done. So just trying to give some nuance as to what was going on back then and why you don't see the content and why you don't see certain content creators and why they didn't stick around. They didn't have to. You had nothing before you came here. We had something before you got here. So that's the difference.
Thank you.
This is damn near year 10 for this is year 8 for me. It's damn near year 10 for 2.0. Or the nations that you call it. The thing is, there is no comparison. So, and I'm because Don Calypso, who's part of the Telegram. Don, what the fuck are they talking about, man? They said 1.0 was all this. Okay, what give me the history of it. He tells me about Gen X. He tells me about the blog talks. He tells me about the players.
Yeah, you had an amalgamation of different content creators. What's so difficult about understanding that?
Kind of like
so
today.
It's not that difficult.
So he's trying to dismiss 1.0 while having a 1.0 guy around and then trying to dismiss the history, even though he knows what the history is. Like, I don't understand the point of doing this. Okay, if Don Calypso is really over there in their Telegram group, like he says it is, why not just have Don Calypso on to actually have him talk about the shit? Like, how come you can't have 1.0 people on while you try to destroy their actual legacy of 1.0? What's the point? So you can't claim that you don't know if you have Don Calypso over there in your quote unquote Telegram. Like, you have to understand that there's really no reason to have this conversation given that everything that he said thus far. It's a complete lie. But that's just it.
Yeah.
Tells me about the battles between Soul and Black and Sergeant Willie Pete and a couple of others.
It's in his name, Soul in Black. He was pro-Black. Okay, it's in his name.
1.0 and from 1.0.
So
but wait a minute, the same Soul in Black who's also a Brain Trust member, mind you. Just put it on the record.
And wait a minute.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Big J.
Yeah, but what about Nut Ward? Because wasn't he part of Gen X and all that? Because Nut Ward still around.
Nut Ward was stylistic.
Yeah, stylistic.
Nut Ward was stylistic.
So Styles still here? He's still you too?
Before there was
about? See, go ahead.
Before there was an angry man, Big J, there was stylistic.
Yeah, I know.
A street guy, a literal street guy who was doing content from his phone in his car.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, right. And so this idea that what did 1.0 do? And it doesn't matter because people existed before you got here. That is the whole purpose of enumerating the space. It's not about who was better. It was about whether or not there was somebody here before you. It has to be enumerated.
Statuette 1, who I have heard. She was part of the crew. Statuette 1 was our Kendra D back then. She was part of the.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Oh, you do know about 1.0 people. So you do know about 1.0 people, don't you? Like, okay, man.
Just making sure y'all caught that. Just making sure you guys caught that.
Wait a minute. Wait, he must be listening to his live stream as he's talking because one of y'all just mentioned Statuette 1. He must be listening to this live stream.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah. You must
No, this is his actual live stream that's going right now, Big J, but I'm playing it from the beginning so that we cover, the diatribe that he put out for 40 minutes. I want to make sure we get through it. So that we're not missing anything because what he's saying is double talk. What he's doing is double talk. So on one hand, the content didn't exist. Then on the other hand, well, these people were
she was part of the crew, Mike.
Quote unquote Statuette 1 was like Kendra D.
Yeah, she was part of the crew. Right.
But there's a caveat here. Statuette 1 was a part of the pro-Black movement in Detroit. Okay, they're from Detroit. So there's a big difference than, she was just a content creator. No, she was from the conscious community in Detroit. There's a backstory to her. So you can't just say, where's the content and stuff. People did stuff offline because people, there was something there before they got here, just like you had nothing before you got here. Because if you did have something, you wouldn't be relying on YouTube so much.
I've actually gone on her show. Okay, she was in opposition to 1.0. Okay. I came in the midst of her
shit.
crew. Not only checked them, but schooled them and taught them some shit. She invited me on her show twice with her girls. Not only did I check her girls, I should start teaching them.
But there was no 1.0 though.
Because I've been learning this shit for 30 years. About people that do this shit for a long time. You guys just got here.
Unreal.
I was in my 20s. Because I had a woman, had a kid, and had a chick, and had in-laws. I need to figure out. I had just got out of a engagement with a social climber, with what I call a 92 climber. But hopefully she's still alive. I haven't heard from her in a while. But she's from Orange County. She's an IT specialist. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I had to understand these chicks. They drove me to go from being a Christian to a.
That was not the purpose of 1.0 to understand women. That was not the purpose of it. I don't, maybe there's something later that he's probably going to elaborate on, but that was not the purpose of 1.0 to understand black women. Was not the purpose.
Gnostic, because
that was his mission.
Christianity was not enough. I couldn't understand these people. I couldn't understand people around me. And what I got out of the Christian church was not giving me the answers. That's like my switch. That's why the Black Gnostic has been there since 1994. Had a crisis, like Carolyn Mace calls the dark night of the soul. Okay, I need to figure some shit out, and I called on to my higher power. You need to show me who you are, because the shit that you're showing me right now does not make sense. So I need that main line. I need that uncut stuff. Okay, that's why you got the Gnostic, and I've been studying this stuff for damn near 30 years. That's why I know. That's why I can give you the books. I've been sitting.
Who better to ask than your female mentor, right?
I know. That's why I know politics and what it works. And half the time you guys are doing. I have no problem with relationships. I have no problem with boy-girl stuff. What we doing is politics. What we doing is a political movement. I was just listening to the thing on neoliberalism, right? And Friedrich Hayek. How he started it basically in the 40s. His movement, he tried to get his movement going in the 40s. It didn't take hold until after the dollar crashed, the Bretton Woods system crashed, right, in the 70s, to take hold in the 80s under Ronald Reagan. It took him 40 years for a political move. One guy, one group of people. Took them 40 years. I'm listening to the guys that came up with the ChatGPT, the large language model AI. It took that 40 years.
Yes.
Okay? He had to bounce from one university to the next to find one spot that would accept him, and nobody thought that shit would work. Nobody thought that shit would work until the 70s. Not until the 70s, till damn near the 2000s. Okay, the 21st century. Nobody thought his shit. Would work.
That's a jump from the 70s to the 2000s.
Nobody thought his shit would work until Google, and Google needed an answer. It took him 30 fucking years. Okay, don't tell me what a small group of people cannot do. In fact, that's what the special NPR was saying about Heydrich. Okay, Hayek and the road to serfdom, right? His shit was poo-pooed upon because he was coming out of Roosevelt, coming out of the crash. Neoliberalism wasn't what they wanted to hear. Okay, took that dude 40 years, one man, one group of people. Okay, until they finally got their chance. And that neoliberalism has basically ruled the planet for the last 40 years. Okay,
you cannot compare trying to understand women and bringing them back to the table to neoliberalism. Okay, these are social structure ideals.
Like this is
you know, go ahead.
all right. So this is why it doesn't make sense for Keep It 100 to like say that he's redoing Manosphere 1.0 if he's friends with this guy outside of the space. So how is a guy denying 1.0 even exists? Then a friend of his is redoing Manosphere 1.0 without even dropping a link to have anybody from Manosphere 1.0 on the panel, when they know people from Manosphere 1.0 are still in this space. So are they really just trying to do like a Flashpoint paradox where they are the people who created everything? Like that's just where we're at.
No, MOT. It literally is one of these things where they, here's what's hilarious to me. That whole 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, that is a brain trust created meme. You're welcome, folks. And see, that's the thing. Subconsciously, they even use these terms and they're nary the aware to the origins of it and what it all means. Isn't this funny?
All right. So here's the thing that I don't get. Obsidian never have conversations like this. O'Shea never have conversations like this. Angry Man never have conversations like this. But the three-letter guy always need to have these type of conversations.
Well, they're very aware. They're very aware, MOT. They're very aware of all of this, right? And see, so at the bare minimum, I will give them that, right? It's not as if they've tried to co-opt 3.0 like the three-letter guy has, right? Chat SPE. They've never done
No. This isn't.
Oh no. I'm just saying.
No, this isn't about. No.
I know. Mike, just let me get out because I'm not doing that. I'm just saying that bare minimum, MOT is right. They never did that. But this guy, come on.
Right. Let me finish explaining
the kind of thought, the kind of political order. Has ruled the planet for 40 years. Don't tell me what one group of people cannot do.
But that's exactly what you just said about 1.0.
Thank you.
It was small. It was non-existent. It was bankrupt. Guys ran out. They got ran off the panel and ran out to space, and they didn't really do much. But now all of a sudden,
galaxy far away, man.
When it's when it's about him or 2.0, then don't try to doubt us because I brought PhDs here. We did this and we did that. Well, why is it okay for you, to be a small group of people who can do stuff? But when it comes to 1.0, oh, well, you guys didn't do anything. And I don't believe it because, I don't see the content. But even though we explained to you several times what happened to the content. And the content that does exist, you don't even quote.
It's like that for 3.0, and we have the content. Imagine that.
No,
but then he subsequently named people from his face.
Doesn't he realize Doug Titian's videos are still up? Doesn't he realize
that's only some of them, Big J? Remember, Titian.
I know some
Titian went to Generation X.
Right, but Doug Titian's videos, some of them are still up. So I don't know what he talking about, and I'm waiting for somebody to show him that and see how would he react to it.
Oh, he won't even acknowledge it. Let's finish hearing what he has to say.
He had no fucking money. He had no political support. Don't tell me what they can't do. The thing is, what I get sick of is that you've already seen it. I don't have to prove anything. You've seen it. People that have been here at 2014, prior to the 2.0 getting here, as far as the Manosphere naming it, okay? They were
political.
Nobody believed it. I could tell you, nobody believed it. What Edward's saying, the reason that black women weren't at the fucking table because they didn't fucking respect you enough to even talk to you. They wouldn't even talk to you.
Just like it is now for you.
Yeah, and that's the point, right? Like 1.0 wasn't about having conversations with black women. That was never the case. I'm not sure why he keeps harping on this idea that well, they wouldn't even talk to you. But that wasn't the purpose of 1.0. I'm not sure why, he keeps referring back to that. 1.0 was not trying to do what 2.0 is doing now. It's complete opposite.
Yeah, but he got that from a city. That's what he's doing. He got that from the city. That's what the city was trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even talk to you.
Finish playing this.
They wouldn't, and I wasn't George Hitchens. What was his name? What's the guy's name? They always talk about him. Jesus Christ. I'm drawing a blank on homeboy's name. The one that Ronald Reagan. In fact, Ronald Reagan sounds just like him when he talks.
Talking about John Mershon.
God, what's the guy's name? Jewish guy's name.
Come on,
out of Chicago.
Come on,
John Mershon.
You'll get it.
So what I'm saying is, I don't beat my chest, man. I don't toot my own horn very often. That's very slow. But definitely half the stuff I'm saying.
Oh no! Oh no!
And I know when I'm saying it, you're not gonna catch up. I know when I'm saying it, I'm talking about the gold standard of geopolitics. Y'all ain't gonna catch up to this shit.
Really? Okay, but here is he keep mentioning politics, right?
The next order is probably gonna.
But here's the thing:
say that again, Big.
Like you keep mentioning politics, but you don't hear no politics from a Citian or Anger Man or O'Shea. When the last time they actually talked about policy?
Never. We've been calling them out.
I mean, but this is really not about their political leanings, because they all came in here under the guise of conservatism, which did not require you to learn anything or know anything about history. You could just claim that you're conservative and you're just here to talk about the women and the outcomes of the Black community. Like that's what their conservatism kind of entailed. So there was no real conservatism there. It was just what the actual kind of what do you call it? Method actor conservatism. The easy bait conservatism that didn't require any historical knowledge or talking about
right. I get that. I get that. But I'm going somewhere with this. It's kind of like that Pearl sit debacle, right? Well, okay, what had Pearl done for Black men? Nothing. But you got people like Diana Davidson.
Whoa.
You got people like Diana Davidson, Typhon Blue, who have done something for Black men or done something for men in general. You don't see me just big and dim up.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. A second. Are those Black women who
no, they're not. But
hold on.
But Pearl's not a Black woman either. That's what I'm trying to make.
Wait a minute. See, because what you can't do is bring that up and not acknowledge that the master teacher is the one who told Manosphere writ large that Pearlie was a tool. You gotta understand something here, right?
Pearlie was a tool.
Yeah, she's a tool, and I'm saying she's gonna get shit done for Black men and Black boys. And I'm saying what she's gonna do from how I'm reading this is gonna supersede anything that 1.0 ever fucking did. Okay? That's how I'm reading this. So just understand, this is who he put his weight behind. This is Mr. 2.0 talking, everyone. That's all I had to just throw at you with that.
Well, that was the case. Now, how come Pearl is now in Chicago? She moved back to Chicago.
Hold on, bro. Hold on. See. This is chess, not checkers, right? This is just so over our fucking heads because this is the master teacher talking here.
I mean, but he gave a timeline of 5 years for her to do something for Black boys on the breakdown interview. So we have to
but here's the thing though. There's already things called a Lighthouse Project. There's a thing called if you're going to look for white women, quote unquote, to help your Black ass. Well, there is the Lighthouse Project by Diana Davidson. You got that other organization out there. You got the other organization out there in Tennessee. I forgot those women in Tennessee. So what is he talking about?
Let me finish playing
It's
this.
going to be what I call global techno-Marxism. Okay, y'all don't understand this shit. You got people like Gigi that understands it. When I say techno-Marxism,
yeah, but that has no relevance to the ultimate, discussion about black male progress. That has no relevance here. What relevance does techno-Marxism even have? You just threw a term out without any context.
Literally,
it's not
none.
that we don't understand.
No,
it's not
I'm sorry,
that we
Mike, go
don't
ahead.
understand. It's not that we don't understand Marxism, because we are actually called Marxists. Remember,
Yes.
we
Yeah,
understand
thank you,
Marxism
thank
pretty
you.
well.
Thank you.
We
Yes.
understand Marxism pretty well. You throwing out these terms, outside of the context of the conversation does not impress us. We're not moved by that. So when you say, well, this isn't about ego for me, actually it is. When you throw out a term like techno-Marxism, who the hell are you talking to? Because your subscribers don't even understand that.
Thank you.
It's not us that doesn't understand that. We were the ones who did the review on gold, dollars, and power. Okay? We were the ones who did the review on what black men think. We were the ones who did the review on several other pieces of content that your subscribers don't even subscribe to. So who are you talking to?
he can break it down. He can understand it, but y'all don't understand. I
We're
know
getting
y'all
it
don't.
fucked up around here.
It's not your stilo. It's not your wheelhouse. It's mine.
Unreal.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Technology did, but thing is, guess what, DC? Guess what? Guess what, DC? It was limited by its technology. Is it our fault?
So he admits it.
I was around. My partner stuff that we did even before Blog Talk. Okay, before Blog Talk, my partner was one of the first people actually used Blog Talk in 2003 when it first got booted up. Okay. He was on other stuff, okay? I wasn't in this arena, but we was using the stuff, okay? Tariq Nasheed still has his stuff. Where's yours?
Huh?
That's not the purpose of the 1.0 versus 2.0 discussion. That's not the purpose of it. The purpose of it is to enumerate what came before you. Okay, you can't say they're the founding fathers of this and then redact all the history that came before it. That was the whole purpose of 1.0 being enumerated, so that there was some context to be brought forth on what happened before. And what happens with people like BGS, what happens with people like BGS is that they redact the history so that you don't know that there was something there, because everything has to go through him. And if it doesn't go through him, then it doesn't have any relevance. That's why we had to put a stop to that. At least I had to put a stop to it, because there's a lot of misinformation being spread, and he is the master of misinformation. Talking about techno-Marxism, it doesn't have any relevance to a whole bunch of guys who are subscribed to you who don't even read books themselves. They don't. That's why we had to read the articles, because they don't even read the content themselves. So, what's up, Complex?
No, I was just gonna say, and see, and that's the whole thing right there, right? It's kind of like you cannot use that as a smoke. You cannot negate technological advances. You can't negate the updates in YouTube in terms of features and functions, panels, super chats, hangouts, then the incorporate. Like, you can't just wipe off what was done because you couldn't hold panels. That's bullshit. Bullshit.
The thing is, even at that, you guys weren't talking the same stuff I'm talking. DC, you want to come up and bat around this stuff? Number one, I ain't heard none of this shit. None of the stuff I come up with. None of you guys come up with. Okay? Zero. Even today. You guys come up with. You still don't. That's why they recruited.
Who the gynocracy? What? Who recruited you to do what?
There is no comparison between 1.0 and 2.0. It's like comparing the rotary phone to the smartphone. Are they related? Yeah, but there's no comparison to them. None. Stop trying to say 1.0 is superior because it's not.
No one said that. See, this is what BGS does. He creates an argument out of something that didn't exist before,
Well,
right? No one ever created this. Let me finish, Complex, please.
My bad.
He's doing this on purpose to create content. This is his content strategy. See, he can't replay back any of the Brain Trust content and try to debunk it because he would fail immensely. Okay, we cite all of our sources and we share the screen too so that everyone can see exactly what we're seeing so that we're reading this in real time. He doesn't do that. Okay, everything has to be behind the wall. While we're forced to present information to him, he doesn't have to share his information with us. That's disingenuous. I don't appreciate that. So let me finish playing this. What are you going to say, Complex?
Yeah, Mike. All I was going to ask.
Yeah.
All I was going to ask was that isn't that sort of like a convenient? Once again, that's kind of like a convenient type of thing because do you think that he's actually responding to keep it 100 with the one? I'm thinking this is a response to that 1.0 revival, right?
But
And
even
so
keep it in 100 didn't say that though. He didn't say any of these things.
Right. That's what
Right,
that's what I was going to ask. That's why. Yeah. Okay.
So where is he getting this from? Because keeping 100 never said any of these things that he's talking about, and nor did we. We never said that.
You know, he didn't dismiss the history. He didn't pretend like they didn't exist. He didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
But his friend is. BGS Import is.
Yeah.
Is your dial-up phone that they took out, you know, where you had to put in switches and stuff like that compared to the smartphone that has cellular networks? No, there's no comparison to them.
But wait a second here. Rotary phones, right? And touch tone phones, those are technological differences, which is what we've been saying about 1.0 versus 2.0. Technologically different because of live streaming. Okay. 1.0 did not have the capability of live streaming, at least not in the capacity that you have today, because that is a carnation of 4G. Okay, you couldn't live stream on 3G. It was impossible. 3GPP did not allow that. It didn't have the bandwidth to do so. Okay, it had I think it only had like a 4 megabit upload speed, which is not enough for live streaming. It's woefully inadequate. Because if that was the case, everybody would still be using T-Mobile Sidekicks, and people don't use that anymore because the technology was eclipsed by the iPhone.
What did I say? 30 minutes? Big Kev, put your ears on. I said 30 minutes. I'll drop the link. But I want to get my shit off first, because guess what? Y'all didn't say that shit to, you know, to keep it 100 last night.
No, we didn't have to say anything to keep it 100 because that's not the argument that he was making. You're making an argument that neither Keeping It 100 made or the Black Brain Trust or DC from Codebreakers made. No one has made that argument. You're making
Mike,
it up in your head in order to create content.
Mike, that's why I asked that question literally just a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
That's why I asked that question. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Wacky World of O is still here. It's like these people have contact information in their about section. There's literally no reason to go out claiming that you are reviving 1.0 without even having any individuals up there from 1.0. It's not like you needed to get the stream off right away. What you have to do is do your own research about the topic and subject. Because once you start doing that, you'll realize once you reach out to these people, and once they look at your community tab and your actual content that you pull out, they're like, how is this shit a revival of 1.0? No, this is a revival of 2.0, if anything, not 1.0.
Yeah, I'm not going to quibble with Keeping It 100 on that. I just think that the argument, the argument that BGS is making is that somebody said that 1.0 was better, but that's not what Keeping It 100 said. I listened to that stream. He didn't say anything like that. Okay, and we never said that.
Thank you.
So who's making that argument?
I mean,
Oh, and for the record,
declaration. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
But
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much was a declaration of independence based on the circumstance. But that's not what 1.0 was about. It was about, okay, here's all the experiences. Now we have to do something different, not resetting them, relooping the conversation. Progress is its own reward. There's no need to reloop progress. It's either you're making some or you're making none. There is no in between.
I'm gonna get my shit off first because I'm not gonna get silenced tonight because trust and believe I'm gonna beat my chest, okay?
He just said it wasn't about ego, but now he wants to beat his chest.
Ooga booga, ooga booga, ooga booga, ooga.
Half the stuff today that I still come up with, y'all didn't. Nobody digs this stuff out. Nobody. Stuff that that PhDs are scared to touch. Nobody digs this shit out. Nobody goes over.
Did you call the PhDs
nobody
out?
goes over Clark's book, Dark Ghetto. Nobody goes over the Moynihan Report because all your niggas are scared. Nobody would tell the fucking truth about it.
It's irrelevant.
Nobody.
What is this guy talking about?
Nobody, half some stuff I can't even say on here.
This dude.
So let me get this straight,
you guys. They're gonna get him.
Lord.
Let me not quibble. I'm not going to quibble too much with him. We got about 20 minutes left before we close this one out.
And you tell me that
Well,
1.0 was
live about us.
basically college students were talking about this back then? Bullshit.
Actually, 1.0 was a lot of people in the academy from a student perspective, because in order for you to engage in social media at that level, you had to have a very powerful computer. Okay. Smartphones were, the closest thing to a very powerful smartphone at the time was the BlackBerry. And then you had Windows Mobile and so on and so forth. You had, the Nokia phones.
The Palm.
Palm Pilots. Thank you for that. Palm Pilots. So the idea that it wasn't people in college really driving the social media platform is a misnomer, because in reality, the only way for you to actually engage in it is if you had a very powerful desktop or laptop. Laptops were very expensive back then, and so people relied on desktops. You should know this as somebody who builds computers, okay? In order for you to engage in Facebook, YouTube, MySpace, because MySpace existed before Facebook. And so that's where a lot, not MySpace, Black Planet was where a lot of those discussions were happening on Black Planet. And so Manosphere 1.0 wasn't just a YouTube thing, it was a social media thing, okay? Which is what DC is saying. AOL Black Voices, YouTube Messenger, and
Yahoo,
I forget the other platform.
Yahoo message board.
Yeah, Yahoo message boards too. So you had 3 messaging platforms that led into Black Planet, and then MySpace, and then YouTube, okay? Because Facebook, there was no reason to go to Facebook if you already had a Black Planet account, or you had a MySpace account, okay? Extended the conversation onto these other platforms. Now, when you say that, well, there was Blog Talk Radio, my guys were one of the first ones to be used. It's not about who was the first ones to be using, but who was having these discussions. Okay, that's what DC is saying. That's what we're saying. That's what Keeping It 100 is saying. Somebody existed before this founding fathers thing did. This isn't a slight against Angry Man or Obsidian or O'Shea. This is about correcting the record, because what's happening here is anything that existed before it, before 2.0, was minuscule and doesn't have any value. And so everything must be recognized that 2.0 was this catalyst for world change, but yet the conversations they're having is about Chat GPT and whatever is trending in social media. How can you have an impact if the only thing you're discussing is what's trending for you? Like, no, if you're going to have an impact, people would cite you as a source, but people are not citing you as a source. Okay. Thugtician's content is still being cited. Sergeant Lee Pete is still being cited. Wacky World of O, and a lot of these other guys contributed to the space, but they were not the loudest voices. Okay. The decorum between Wacky World of O, Soul and Black, and Thugtician and some of these other ones were a lot more palatable than Sergeant Lee Pete. Sergeant Lee Pete was a radically different person than the rest of the space. And so you just have to understand that the temperature at the time. You have to read the room. There was just different sort of conversations that were being had that, these guys really don't understand. It wasn't about trying to be the most well-read person and, talking about techno-Marxism or talking about the Monahan. That was not the case back then. That wasn't the purpose of the space. The purpose of the space was the exchange of ideas. Okay. Kobe MBA West was completely against Joe Biden because of the VAWA, Violence Against Women's Act. He was a men's rights activist, so he followed this pretty closely. Now, a lot of the men like Kobe, what's his brother, Junebug Obama, was an Obama advocate, okay, at the time. That was the hot thing to discuss at the time. Was Obama going to be a catalyst for change or not? That went on for a whole entire election cycle. People weren't sitting around talking about, whether or not they can bring women to the table. That was unheard of. No one talked about things like that. Thugtician never said anything like that. Soul and Black never said anything like that. In fact, the whole BMCC, the Black Male Conscious Collective, was about bringing all these different factions of Black men, Hebrew Israelites, your staunch Christian conservatives, your Muslims, your atheists, your 5%ers. He brought all these people onto a platform and had a very lengthy discussion. Okay. And that discussion was repeated week after week or month after month. It wasn't just a one-time thing. That type of stuff went on for a long time. I think what's happening here is.
I was just going to ask you, who was that was doing this?
Soul and Black.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
On the other half of this was that Soul and Black, Captain Solo, what's the other brother? The brother of Common Sense and Logic. These guys were all blue collar. And what they were doing was, before there was a quote unquote Kevin Samuels show your work, these guys were actually having their cameras on recording Captain Solo being a master electrician, Soul and Black doing home renovations in Baltimore. Okay, at the downturn of the 2008-2009 collapse, when they were buying up property for cheap and showing you how to actually go about getting these these short sales. Okay, and you had the brother of Common Sense and Logic, who was a boilermaker or a master plumber and gas fitter. Okay, these type of content, that was the type of content that was being produced back then. It wasn't about having conversation with women, man. This is part of the problem, not understanding the history and then minimizing the history when it's presented to you just so you can make an argument that no one ever made in the first place. And you want to beat your chest about it as if, well, this isn't about ego, but I'm going to beat my chest. Cut it out, man. Just cut it out, bro.
Bullshit. If you really said that, show me the receipts. Don't tell me what you think or what you heard or what you might have heard. Show me the fucking receipts. Nobody can. Where are your receipts? I asked for receipts. Okay, we said this, we said that. Show me the goddamn receipts. Where'd you say it? Because I don't believe it.
I would like BGS to show all of the old Coliseum receipts.
Are you gonna say it? The academics aren't saying this shit, right? Some stuff just came out. Like a whole sector of chicks talk that shit about Black men and how Black men abandon them and shit like that, especially on the continent. Daughters of the Trade came out. Shout out to SYSBM because they're the one that found the book. I put that motherfucker right up and ran a whole bunch of chicks off the block with one book. Okay. Some chicks that are in this sector Dudes had to pull me off of them to keep me from wrecking their careers. Okay. Cynthia G, if she can bless Obsidian and she can bless O'Shea for saving her ass. Okay. Because she's getting ready to get run off the block. They saved her ass. I saw them do it. They did it for like a year and a half because they wanted to make money. But they pulled her ass out of the fire because she had taken hits. She was getting ready to go down. So the rest of this shit, I don't want to hear. There's no comparison between 1.0, which is fledgling, and the more mature model, which is 2.0. None.
More mature.
And trust and believe, me and a couple others had to pull 2.0 out of the fire, okay? Because we were taking water. We took water too. We took hits.
Why was it in the fire?
I only came back. We ran them chicks off the fucking block. Okay, they sit way over there and on the outskirts in the corner with the chucking. Okay, they don't come over here no more. They don't come over here no more because they know they can't touch it. The white boys are stealing my shit as fast as I can bring it out. I'm listening to them. People sending me shit. Hey,
out of here.
Somebody just repeated what you just said. Because the white boys, look at Rolo, man. Rolo's trying to use Kevin's stuff because he hadn't studied me or studied Kevin long enough to actually know the ins and outs of what we talk about. He's trying to use.
Yeah, see, this is the thing, right? And I want to be clear about this. We did not come in, myself, DC, Wacky Water, Old Soul and Black. We didn't come in through the white sector. We didn't come in through there. We came in through the black sector. That's just reality. That's the political reality in the space. Y'all came in through that sector. We don't know all these people like that. We're not familiar with all these people.
That's facts, bro. That's facts.
We don't engage those type of people, but those people were hating on us though, okay? They were hating on us. So the idea that, people are stealing your content on that side, well, that's because y'all deal with them people on that side. We don't deal with those people. So we didn't deal with those people back then. So
use the shit without knowing what it is. Okay. He's trying to use evil psych. Okay. Evil psych for politics. That shit doesn't work. High Value Man is a 92 octane guy. That was Kevin's model for High Value Man. My 92 octane guys. I was looking at my notes. Okay.
1.0 existed before Kevin Samuels.
That's where he got it from. He took that concept. Because he asked me about it. He took that concept, he matched it with his business sense, he put the two together. Those are High Value Men. He wanted to turn guys that had degrees, guys that had money, guys that made six figures into those guys. If you match those two things together, you actually turn those guys that are fledgling into these guys. You got High Value Men. That's where it came from.
Wow. Yet he's not one himself.
Classification of people, of males and females. Okay, that's my model. That's why I don't talk about entertainers. Okay? Entertainers are something else. You notice he never talks about entertainers being High Value Men. They're entertainers. They're off to some places. The athletes and singers and those kind of folks that have wealth and fame. There's something else. Even the Kardashians are entertainers. Okay.
Holy shit.
They're a different breed. That's why I never talked about it. It's octane
model.
What
do Kardashians have to do with
not a mystery.
1.0? What? Okay. All right. The fuck does this have to do with anything?
Yeah. And Kevin first started taking his show was starting to blow up. One of these shows. Yeah, I was on them. Yeah. I could have been on a lot of, if I had asked, I'd have been on more of them. He was paying homage. That's all it is. It wasn't, I never asked for it. I just wanted him to do his shit.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Ryle.
Yo, what's good? Yeah.
Peace, man. Peace to the panel, peace to the chat. Mm-hmm. If this is the case, what he's talking about with Kevin, why, when the Pearly shit first broke out, why did O'Shea say Kevin didn't take the manosphere seriously? Because in his opinion, the manosphere was not serious about development.
Oh man, I
See-
can't speak to that, you know, but
see, hold on, but that's the point that I'm saying. Like, if what he's saying is true, because I noticed even when he was alive, his segueing away from the space. So I already knew that his orientation was away from them, those particular type of people's content. Okay. So when he made that comment, I said, yeah, because I had already saw it myself. And see, this is really, see, you can't sit here and say you're about the scholarship and then you're consistently bypassing a channel that has been nothing but about the information, the scholarship, showing what's taking place in the business and tech world, and really consider yourself serious. And I was having a conversation with a particular gentleman last night, and I asked him, I said, in the past 3 months, what content have you seen in this space that has been as serious and scholarly than the stream that we've done on Booker T. Washington so far? And he said none. And so when you have people who are trying to see, one thing I noticed that this dude does, he's very skilled at using other people's talents and skills for self-aggrandizement. So he uses it to buffer himself. This is why he's constantly clout chasing and bringing up people's names. This is why he constantly brings up Kevin's name. This is why he's constantly bringing up people like Gigi and Ronald Neal and stuff like that. Nothing to stand on his own merit, though. And see, that's where the problem comes in. And this is where some of these people are going to have to really take a look at themselves and say, are you going to allow yourself to allow somebody who has been wrong on so many things in the space to use your name to advance them? Because now what you're going to have people doing is looking at you sideways and saying, okay, we've been around here a little bit longer and we've seen the BS from this guy. And so are you going to allow a guy to use your good name? Because I'm going to assume that these dudes are on the up and up. I'm not going to assume the worst of them. So I'm going to assume that they're on the up and up and they sincere in what they're saying. Are you going to allow these type of dudes to use your credentials to bolster their standing when even before some of these cats even came into these spaces, they were getting shellacked and not winning certain type of arguments because it had no merit to stand on? So now you want to hide your content, hide your L's and the losses that you've taken to certain men in the spaces. Now you try to turn people who come into the space who are new, who don't know the history, you try to turn those men against 1.0, 3.0, which is the brain trust, Black Brain Trust, for people who don't know. I was around when the manifesto came out and I saw what Complex laid down and in terms of what the channel was supposed to be. So I'm not one of those people that doesn't know that. So, and I've been rocking with the Brain Trust ever since it became that. So
Day one.
to me, I'm like, to me, this is not. I don't really believe this is about 1.0. It is 1.0 is used, but the real problem that he's having is with 3.0.
Thank you.
Because if you really about the scholarly work, dude, what's more scholarly than what we have been doing on Booker T. Washington? And this is a gentleman who did say, when I was on a stream a few years ago, when I was talking about Booker T, because see, I was loading up the arsenal, I was getting the information. Because I didn't want to do him a disservice by talking about him in ways that I really didn't know about. And he said that he was going to do a stream on Booker T. He's never done it. So now that we've got the ball rolling, now that we have put the information in the ether, where is your scholarly background to be brought to bear in response to what is being talked about? Because we know y'all clout chasing. We know we've seen Ronald Neal pull up. We've seen y'all pull up, don't want to actually have the actual debate, but I thought y'all were scholars. So because now what has to happen now is, if it can't be no nigger-centric type of argue fest. See, we didn't put that out. We came with actual information that you have to respond. You have to refute it with information, not feelings, but information. And this sounds like feelings.
I need to finish
not
playing this,
information.
bro. Yeah, I need to finish playing this.
Well, Rolo is a blogger. Rolo is not was not really an in front camera guy. He's a writer. Even though the whatchamacallit, Google Hangouts were there. Google Hangouts were very, very rare. Okay, trust and believe. I was over on MGTOW. Hangouts are very rare. Oh, I'm the one that really started the panelists, because I said let people up, let them talk instead of this 1 or 2 people. Okay, hey, fuck it, how many will it hold? Okay, and that was my thank you to my listeners. That's where it started. That's where it got popular, and then they put money into it. Red Pill is the manosphere. I don't know where you get that shit from.
Not if you're trying to engage women at that
I don't
level.
know. What part of the manosphere are you from? Don Calypso being there. In fact, one of my mentors that was my other stuff on my other channel. If you guys know him as Pianki, that's Baba Pianki. Me and Baba Pianki have been friends since 2003. Okay. He's out of St. Louis, okay? He used to laugh at you guys, okay? He would laugh about how silly you guys were. He would come back and say, "These guys don't know they're hair from their asshole." That's what he used to say about y'all.
So first the space didn't exist, but now Baba Pianki was laughing at us. Which one is it? Which one is it?
Wow. Wow.
So do we need to present the content to prove to you that 1.0 existed, or are you gonna take Baba Pianki's word on it that, you know, these guys didn't know their elbow from the asshole? Which one is it?
And I was saying, why do you go over there? He said he go over there to laugh at you. That's what he used to say. But the thing is, you know, now I'm gonna get my rant off first. Okay. I don't care about your fucking limitations. You guys, wow. Okay. Okay. Don't care about your limitations. Okay. Jelly Bean Bryant does not say he's superior to Kobe. He doesn't. Even though Kobe's 2.0. He doesn't say he's superior. Kobe's a better player. Of course he's a better player. He had more advantages, but guess what? He's a better player.
Don't disrespect Kobe like that.
Potential, maybe. Who knows? Is the potential there? Is it your fault? No. Were you around long enough? No. And I'm not saying that you couldn't have done it. Things you didn't. You didn't. They're still talking about, man, they want to do documentaries on Kevin. Okay? They do. Because the impact that he had. Timing, talent, message, it all came together in one form, okay? In one space for 2 years. It changed the way things are done. It is what it is.
During the pandemic.
The way this space actually runs on information, Medium Man is using the same shit I've been doing for 5 years. He's rehashing the same stuff that what the universe actually does. But anyway, but that's not
in religion. It was what were you saying the black men were scared of before? That's just what my question was. The other one.
Scared. Oh, I'm talking about the people that, okay, you're really breaking up, boss, if you're trying to say something. Because it sounds like you're on.
Can I be
You know.
heard?
You can be heard.
Are we gonna have a discussion, BGS? Can we have an honest discussion, please,
Are
sir?
you going? If you let me
Uh-oh.
talk, we sure can.
When have I never let you talk, BGS?
You always interrupt me, but it's okay.
What's going on?
BGS, come on now.
You do.
This is me. This is me.
You're doing it now, but go ahead.
Okay. So here's what I want to say, because I think that, you know, this conversation is long overdue.
Okay.
The truth is, and I have reiterated this numerous of times. I think you know exactly how I look at the situation. Okay. 1.0 existed prior to 2.0. That's a fact.
Okay.
That is not something that's basically understood in this space. That's number one. That was the only thing that really had me actually worried about when people basically brought up 2.0 as basically being the founders of this particular space. Pillars, making it popular.
Thank you.
Facts.
Okay. Let me.
I cannot take that away from 2.0. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. Okay, if I may interject and ask you a question, is that okay?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. Was there still a space when 1.0 collapsed?
Yes.
It was. Okay.
Yes, it was.
What was that space?
It was called the Black Men's Collective. I think it was by Soul and Black. There was a list of brothers. Like I said, I had an account with GenerationX.net.
A Brain Trust member.
That was the original space that basically, when this particular YouTube started getting hit very hard, there was an event that happened that I'm not going to talk about here, because it seems to always get people always in trouble. There's some brothers that would never come back because of that actual event. And if anybody is in the know, they know what I'm talking about. That took place. That was a tragedy that happened. A situation, as far as media is concerned, that shine light on the space in a bad light.
So was the space still active when in 2014, 2015?
Yes.
Okay. Was it known by people?
Yes, it was still known. Yeah, okay. Sergeant Willie Pete, Captain Solo, Junebug Obama, Pink Elephant, Soul and Black, Calvary. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, Pink Elephant. There's a lot of guys that was still doing content. It's true. It wasn't. They were not big content creators as far as the way content is now.
The title that DC is referring to is called the Black Male Conscious Collective. Okay, BMCC. That's what it's called.
And the reason why I said the technology limited the space, because that's a fact. When it first started, right? And we're talking about some of the people that I knew that created content that was from Black Voices, Yahoo Messenger. I didn't come through MGTOW. I didn't come through the white space. Okay. I always came through the Black space. This is something that I got attached to when I was in college. So dealing with that particular aspect, seeing how popular Yahoo Messenger got, there were chat rooms that did general discussions about Black people, right? And then there would be these go back and forth between Black men and Black women, you know. Who's to blame?
Those were going on well before the 1.0 was even in there. Okay, because I was part of those. Okay, so
right, but what I'm saying is some of the content creators that ended up in this space is what I mean.
Okay, like
that ended up Research Q Classy is one of them. Captain Solo. SWP is another one.
SWP I know about. Captain Solo I don't.
Captain Solo is his road dog. That's like
not knowing who Captain Solo is, man. It's like you know,
that says everything.
Well, not so much that it says everything, but Captain Solo is an intricate person within 1.0. Okay, he's a very mild, well-spoken person who gets to the point. And he's significantly older than Sergeant Willie Pete, which is why Sergeant Willie Pete relies on him for content sometimes back then. And so,
Mike,
when
real quick.
when all you know is Sergeant Willie Pete, that means that all you're looking at is the firebrand and not the actual context and the content that was being created back then. Go ahead.
Thank you. No, that's all I wanted to say because that tells me everything.
Yeah.
Doesn't that tell us everything?
Yeah.
So how do you boastfully say these things about 1.0, right? And then in the very next breath, literally go, I'm not familiar with that guy. What?
Yeah.
I never heard anything that he did.
Calypso know him. Don Calypso know who I'm
Calypso does
talking
know.
about.
I said I never heard anything that he did. There's no record of it.
And I understand that.
But that's not the point that DC is making. That's not even the point.
Thank you,
But
bro.
this seems to be the perspective that BGS takes. Or I don't know anything about, so therefore it doesn't exist, or it has no relevance. No, it does have relevance. You can't talk about Sergeant Willie Pete without talking about Captain Solo. It's impossible.
Mike, I think I know what the problem is here. Because BGS is trying to leverage the overall popularity piece and not really the substance piece. He don't care about the substance. He care about the popularity because he knows that most of these people only care about the popularity. They don't care about the history. They care about what's happening and popping now. Like that's the only thing that he's leveraging right now. Because everything that he said, he went back on by bringing up the actual people himself during the actual same discussion.
Yeah.
That BGS, but just because there's no record of it doesn't mean that it didn't exist. Would you at least admit that, sir?
Everybody acknowledges there was a space before. Well, that's why we call it 2.0, right?
Exactly. That's all. Okay, that's it.
Hold on. Everybody admits that. There's no problem.
Everybody does not admit that, BGS.
Yes, they do.
That is not true.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't admit it?
There are a lot of people. There are a lot of people that do not admit.
You just admitted it yourself. Like, you just admitted yourself. Like,
that this particular space.
I haven't heard of it. Everybody that I rather do the actual call outs on my particular channel, but I don't want to do that here. You can do it here.
Okay, so you don't hear people say that basically the three founders of the space is Obsidian, O'Shea, and Angry Man.
Of who? They actually gave it a name. Y'all didn't give it a name, Black Manosphere.
Okay, so that's
wait.
All,
who gave it? Who gave it the name?
But what I'm saying is that there was an actual space before that was actually named the space.
We that's why we call it 2.0 instead of 1.0.
I
Wait,
get it.
No,
all I'm saying is
Mike, we did.
No, that's not your argument. That's not your argument. That's our argument.
Thank you.
That's our argument. You can't use our argument to fulfill
We
your
came
own
up with
rebuttal.
that.
It doesn't work that way.
We came up with that.
It doesn't work that way. Yeah, let me finish playing this. I'm actually late for class. Go ahead.
There was things that preceded them before they actually got here, because you guys came. Hold on. Let me just say this, okay?
Okay.
You guys, if I'm not being obtuse here, came from MGTOW, Voices for Men, all these white spaces, right? I'm saying there were guys that were already originated here in this space. GenX.net been defunct by the time you guys basically created a channel here.
Yeah, you've said that, okay? Many times we accept that, okay?
Okay.
That.
But
what part of it that you mentioned that we haven't already accepted?
But it's the acknowledgement. That's it. But as far as the influence and things of that nature, 2.0, true. I have a lot of problems with 2.0. That's a personal thing. I would not begrudge that on the space because there are a lot of new people here. As far as the influence, you're right. The influence, it has taken off due to the way the actual tech part of it is the technology, because at that particular time, as you know, on YouTube from like 2005 to like 2009, there was very limited as far as the streaming and the videos that you could do. You know, at the very beginning, you know, there was only 10-minute snippets that you could do as far as videos were concerned.
Yeah.
And, you know, that doesn't lean to especially when you're dealing with a niche audience, it doesn't lean too much interaction unless you have that interest being on wholesale, right? Waiting on, bated breath as far as when people drop their content. However, when the panels started to come across, when you started to open up the Coliseum, and BGS, I'm gonna give you credit for that. When you open up the Coliseums, that opened up a whole lot of people open up to this particular space because you got to see the back and forth in real time. Right?
Well, okay. Thing is, tell your 1.0 guys, give me my props, okay? Give me mine, okay? Instead of trying to shit on me all the time.
Who's doing that though?
Black, you got
they shit on you though.
Yes.
I never heard Soul and Black do that.
Oh, all the time. We just had a back and forth on Rumble about this stuff. Okay.
Oh, on Rumble. Okay, I'm not on Rumble.
What?
So
We've done it before. It's not the first
With
time.
Soul and
So
Black?
this is about. I don't believe that.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
So this whole thing is about his perception that he haven't been given any props, not the fact that 1.0 didn't exist. Is this the crux of his argument? Because that's what it sounds like. Some petty ass shit because he feel like he haven't been given any type of respect. I'm like, dude, so you don't just go trying to erase them for history because the shit that you own is some bullshit right now. And can't nobody really rock with you like that. That doesn't mean they didn't exist. So you got to go lie to your people about the existence of somebody because you feel like you wasn't given props. What?
Wait, he had a back and forth with Soul and Black. I don't believe that.
Oh, we 1.0. I don't respect you. I don't respect the shit that you've done because I respect Valdez, but I don't respect you. You what have you done?
Really?
We did it first and we did it better. And okay, fine, man. Well, you go over there.
Yeah, well, that's a different argument. I won't really get into that. I mean, he's not here to speak for himself, but as far as when I speak on it, that's really where I'm coming from with it. It's not who's better and who's not. All that is subjective to the people that are listening. A lot of the people that are listening.
Marcus just did it last night. That 1.0 was pure and 1.0 we did it better. 1.0.
That's not what Marcus said. That's not what Keep It 100 said. Never said that.
Yeah, I don't think he said that.
I listened to that stream.
He didn't say
that.
He didn't say that. He did not say that.
That's not what I heard when he was talking. It sounds like he was trying to kind of rebrand what the origin, what he thinks is the original meaning of the actual space. I don't want to speak for him either. I mean, Marcus basically said what he said during the program yesterday. But as far as I heard,
come up.
Yeah, as far as I heard, that's what it sounded like. He was basically kind of giving a refresh on what the so-called space was before the advent of 2.0. Now you got to understand that with the positives come the negatives too. Just like it was when it first basically was created or the space developed itself. There were weaknesses. There were some major weaknesses with 1.0. That's fully acknowledged. Fully acknowledged. No doubt about it. Same thing with 2.0. And same thing with any other content creator that comes out. It has to get better as basically space matures. The space has matured, BGS. And it has gotten a lot better because you got a lot of people that are now included into the space that wasn't included at first.
Yes. So why this argument all this?
Can you hear me?
We got you. Because me and Ed we just talked about this morning. Like, what the fuck are you guys still talking about this for? Okay,
it's not me though. That's what I'm saying. Like, when you say 1.0 and you talk about all the guys that talk about this, I am one of those guys that talk about this, but I don't talk about it from that standpoint. I don't talk about it from that. I don't orient myself in that way.
Do you speak for everybody? Do you speak for everybody?
Absolutely not.
Well, then we're not talking about you. We're not talking about you.
Okay, all right.
Okay, but go ahead.
No, we're.
But then that doesn't make any sense because if you're saying Soul and Black said this, then he doesn't speak for everybody either.
Wow.
And if you're saying that Keeping It 100 said it, then he didn't say that either. He doesn't speak for everybody either. So which one is it?
We're not DC because that's actually why I want to come here. I'm glad you
can't stand this guy
up here because you were actually in 1.0 and outside of what BGS is talking about with Soul and Black. Because that's some new stuff where you got dudes. Look, Soul and Black actually brought me in this space. Let me say that first. But you got some new folks that it's like they want to come back, but they don't. because they don't know if they're gonna pop off because they seen other dudes come back and not pop back off. There's been dudes that have been trying to come back. They come from 1.0 that they had as much as 30,000 subscribers at that time, and for whatever reason their channel got deleted. That they haven't even been able to really capture like 400 subscribers.
Wow.
And I'm not gonna say who that is, but that's a couple of people. They're not grinding it out like SWP, which he's at, 10,400 right now, just off the strength of what he used to do and doing the same thing. So if y'all want to check him out, you can, even if you want some good purple pill, content. But my point is,
That's true.
no, because that's what you're getting when you get that from over there. I'm just being honest about that. It's not the good, the bad. He does that. And he actually is talking about more of the white folks stuff now as well, which is actually, I think, a good lane for him. But my point is, DC, for the most part, it's not really the 1.0 guys with a couple of exceptions. Even SWP isn't really shitting on 2.0 folks. He's just kind of doing his own thing, saying what he's always said. What it really is you got dudes that really don't even come from 1.0. And I got a video that's literally unlisted. I'm going to list it in a little bit, probably after this. Shameless plug. They're using 1.0's name in vain. They are using 1.0 as a way to create fake authority in order to go after certain people that they don't like because they can't make a direct argument. So they're actually speaking for you all, even though a lot of these dudes don't even know you all. Because when I ask some of these dudes,
yeah, but who are these people?
Who is he talking about? That was
Who
my
are they?
question.
Who are you talking about?
All right, so
these imaginary people. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so Edward is doing the same thing that BGS does. It's a noun and a verb and a name drop because you ain't got no credibility. BGS, what he does is a noun and a verb, and I brought these people here, to use their actual credentials and credibility as something for him to actually build his actual overall brand off of, and Edward do it with the actual people that he bring up to do the actual same thing. It doesn't take a whole lot of skill to do this, but what you have to realize is that, look, if you had the content to do it, you wouldn't be promoting all of these other people and having their name in your mouth. Like you're the game or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, man. It's so crazy. And make it look like you know all these people when the only thing you're doing is promoting these people and making it look like you know them, when that's clearly not the case.
Yeah. Let me give just 30 more seconds.
Who are the 1.0 guys that was your favorite 1.0 guys? Mine was Soul and Black. I listen to SWP, and I'll give a couple of people. They always name white people. They always say Stardust. Newsflash for you guys out here, the white manosphere is not 1.0. When we say 1.0, we're talking about the black manosphere. The guys that were over here talking the black talk, meaning black men, black women, or black men and what we need to do in community talk. And what black men go through, and the white boys don't count. So when you bring me the white boys, whether it's Sandman, Stardust, you're automatically telling me you don't know what you're talking about. And those are not 1.0 guys doing that.
Who said Stardust or Sandman?
No.
Who said
no one
Stardust
made
or
that
Sandman
argument
in this entire conversation?
I didn't hear that from Keeping It 100. I didn't hear DC talk about that. I didn't, I'm from 1.0. I haven't spoken about that. Wacky World of O is from 1.0. He doesn't talk about them. Who are you talking about?
Oh man. Wow.
But yeah. And so what this Black Pill Daily is a nothing burger. Okay? It's a nothing burger. No one ever said the things that he's saying. Soul and Black, could easily come back on YouTube anytime to make these points. I don't get it. Soul and Black didn't make, all you have to do is play Soul and Black's video from Rumble. Like we're playing your video right now. That's all you had to do. So what's the problem here? The problem here is this is a nothing burger. In order to make content, you got to make fake beef. So when you had Edward Anderson say, oh man, people are using my avatar to create fake beef. No, your content is fake beef. Okay? Your content is fake beef. There's nobody from 1.0 that is saying anything that you're saying about 2.0. The whole purpose of 1.0 was to enumerate that there were black men in a social space before you got here. End of story. Any closing thoughts from the rest of you?
Well, I mean, like our 1.0 is BCE, before Christ existed. That's all it is. A timeline, an enumeration of a timeline before there was, Anno Dominus or whatever. Yeah, that's all it is. But they have to bring all this other stuff into the conversation because there's really nobody they're going to let up to actually kind of challenge them. And look at how they treated DC when he was up there to challenge him.
Yeah,
he got cut off. Conversations being changed around, and it's like this is the lengths that you have to go to actually keep your actual credibility. But you get to up in front of people who don't know anything. What's going on? That's what me on, man. That's my final comment.
He actually talked to DC like he was a little child or something. That's ridiculous.
And DC, ironically, was able to give him names and stuff that he wasn't even familiar with. That's the ironic part. But apparently, Lloyd Hinton thinks that we are a BTS hate group. This is amazing. That's my final thought. I'm out. Y'all have a good one. I'll check up with y'all later.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Lloyd could respond to our video, play it back, so that way he can go word for word for what he thinks is wrong. I mean, we are the type of content we do in this space. This fosters a lot of black male cowards who just come through and say things without realizing he has the same right to play our live stream back to say what's wrong with us, like we're playing his live stream back to say what's wrong with him. But it's always these sideways comments. There's never any action to actually challenge anything. But I don't know. This type of people we have here. So thanks for having me on.
All right. Thank you all for joining us. Please hit the like button.